All right, guys, we're back here. Heading into this, what could be the final match of this series, and maybe my final match as the Alliance Tournament host. If this is the last one, it will be a sad goodbye, but after having done it for many years, someone younger and, well, not better looking might have to give this a go. A few stats, though, before we go on. This tournament, we've had over 700 billion worth of ISK destroyed. That's like a fairly good-sized war. In online.
That's more than that Revenant fight that went down that made headlines all around the world. We've seen more than that destroyed already now in 3 weekends of the tournament.
We've had 3,025 ships fielded. Of those, 1,682 ships have been destroyed. We've done 42 million hit points worth in damage. And 1,095 pilots have participated in this Alliance tournament.
Wow.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And are we also right in saying that there's been 7 Alliance tournament ships destroyed?
I believe it's 7.
3 Atanas, a Malice, a U2, or maybe it's only 6.
Which is
quite
a lot.
A Cambion as well, so 7.
All right, that's some impressive stats. 700 billion ISK is not changed. That's a considerable amount of gear blown up. And we are going to go into this last match shortly. I'm just going to try and get an update on when we have it actually scheduled for what we're aiming for here. We're going to try and hit this around 2020 in about 15 minutes. We'll have the teams ready, and hopefully PL will throw up some good resistance. But at this point, it seems like an uphill battle.
Man, with 700 billion ISK destroyed, that's what you could play for just a little bit more than 100 years. If us, of course, even line up in 100 years, we'll be on Alliance tournament 111.
Yes.
And who knows how much ISK will be destroyed in that Alliance tournament.
Yes. And it'll all be done in like Oculus Rift glasses. And
that'll be fun.
I'm going straight into the spine.
Yeah.
Just plug it straight into the
spine.
spine.
You will actually be a capsular.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Seamus plays right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight into the spine once you're done. Cryo, freeze, and get ready for the next tournament. All right, so what can PL do at this point? Like, what kind of setups do they have to pull out of the bag?
Yeah, I don't know if they got any setups left to pull out of the bag is the question. At this point, they maybe fall back on something that they've practiced, they're very comfortable with. It's a good all-around setup and hope that Hydra get complacent, that Hydra get lazy, that Hydra make a mistake. I don't know. PL, they look whipped. They look tired. Wow. They're making mistakes. And it's going to take something special for them to get back into this. Now, if they do win one, then suddenly, the momentum's back in their favor. I think it's more likely of them winning another one. But I don't know. I don't know how they win this next one.
Well, to be fair, Pandemic Legion probably has one of the biggest bag of tricks of any alliance in the tournament.
Yeah.
Hydra and PL are basically have pretty much 1 or 2 or 3 of every alliance tournament ship. They've got some of the best pilots in the game. Pilots join their alliance just to fly in the alliance tournament. So if there's anyone who can pull out a comeback victory against Hydra Reloaded, it's going to be Pandemic Legion.
I think that's entirely right. I think it was Shidu who was kind of alluding to that the matches against Agony had been fairly hard for PL. And that plus a rigorous schedule today had kind of worn on them a little bit.
Yeah. And Exodus as well. I think he said that they underestimated Exodus a little bit.
Yeah. And, Exodus suddenly, all of a sudden, pulled out some interesting setups from wherever they got them. And so it'll be interesting to see now. But I mean, of course, should Pandemic Legion lose, they're still guaranteed tournament ships. So I mean. At this point, there's still honor, there's still money to be made, and however many ships you've kind of lost along the way will be replenished.
And some people might prefer the frigates. They're certainly not as expensive as some of the cruisers, but maybe a little bit more usable in for like coming tournaments. Less points, of course, in the next tournament. Maybe it's they're playing the long game. Although I don't think the long game is to lose a tournament to win a tournament later.
That would be a great excuse, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We didn't feel like the cruisers were good enough, so we just let the other team that we could have beaten take it.
Didn't want those cruisers anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, if Pandemic Legion loses, just come to me if you need excuses written. I'll craft them up for you.
All right, we do have the bans in. We're about 10 minutes away from starting the match. We have the bans from CCP Veritas, and Hydra Reloaded have actually swapped bans. So first match they banned the Oneros and the Loki. Now they've banned the Tengu and the Loki, which is a very similar kind of situation, right?
Don't want to shield tanker. Don't want to let PL fall back on that.
Yep. And I think that's interesting as well because I think that was Shidu said that their shield tinkers were fairly strong. So that's an interesting one. PL have banned the Gila and the Ishtar.
Sensible ban. I mean, those are two very strong ships. We've seen some of the strongest comps we've seen in AT11 have involved Ishtars and Gilas. So to ban those two ships out takes out a very, very solid threat. You know, it forces Hydra to show something else. They have other setups that we have seen, but certainly the ones that come to mind as most memorable or most efficient, most deadly are the drone-based setups. So.
And if Hydra was a smug team, which I'm pretty sure they are a smug team.
They are a smug team.
There would be no greater pleasure than for them to 2-0 Pandemic Legion with Pandemic Legion's own fleet. So they've banned out that own fleet, and now Hydra, if they want to field something similar, they got to do it with a triple Myrmidon.
Yeah.
Or triple dummies. Dummies are not banned.
That's a good point. And you know,
You may well see
Hydra
two
does
triple
like the
dummy
dummies.
teams coming up here.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. 2 triple dummies teams, if they're supported by tournament prize ships, that would be a pretty nice final.
Yeah. Maybe Hydra's got another Ratana up their sleeve and wants to field a shield dummy tinker.
Next year we should do tournament prize dummies.
Oh man.
You just actually, they're just
Tournament prize
dummies. You just get 50 dummies.
battleships. Just 50 dummies.
It would be kind of interesting just, I don't know, so we've done frigates and cruisers for a while now. It would be interesting to try some other ship types. Maybe a battleship might be a little bit too much.
Battleship,
Battlecruiser?
battle cruiser,
Yeah,
or
battlecruiser
battle
might
cruiser.
be
Just don't make the links overpowered or they'll sit
Yeah.
at a safe spot all day.
Yeah. Destroyer or something. Tournament destroyer. I don't know.
I think it
Something.
sounds good.
Something cool.
Something cool. Something cool.
Tournament Titan.
Yes.
Tournament Titan.
I don't know if you guys have pre-ordered your version of this EVE Online Collector's Edition. You should. You get this sexy little fellow. Look, he's a rifter. And then you turn him around, and he's a USB thingy.
And the little cockpit lights up when it.
Yes,
what
so
I've
the
been told.
little cockpit lights up.
Yeah.
When
and,
data transfers.
Yeah,
So-
it's awesome.
So you can plug your USB in, you can enjoy the lights, or you can just sit at home going like this.
And how many rifters do I get if I order 2 box sets?
You get 2 rifters.
Wow.
For
okay.
every box you order, we throw in a rifter.
Yep.
So
That's pretty awesome.
if you want 1 collector's edition, you get 1 rifter. If you buy a second collector's edition, we throw in a second rifter.
You can't really have space battles with just 1 rifter.
That's true.
You
You
probably
need
would need to.
multiple one of them. I am looking forward to it. It's a really awesome box and has a load of stuff. So what a lot of people don't know is that when CCP started out, they actually made a board game first. So they made a board game to fund the development of EVE Online. And it was like the best selling board game in Icelandic history. It's like in like one of 5 homes had it in Iceland, and it was really, really big. It's called the Danger Game, and they've translated it to English, and it is also in the collector's edition, so you can play like the board game from the mid-90s that CCP made. And as far as I know, it's it's a family game, but there's some pretty heavy grief mechanics in there.
Yeah.
Well,
They actually designed the board game based on the principles they were designing EVE Online on. So a lot of the same things you see
Yes.
in EVE, you'll see in this Danger game.
and do you know many of the things that you'll see watching an EVE Online broadcast, you'll actually see when playing the Danger Game, some of our most famous CCPers are actually portraying the characters in the Danger Game. CCP Guard, actually the mayor of Reykjavik, who portrayed the original character in the original Danger Game, has returned to his role of prissy old lady.
I was just about to say, so the current mayor of Reykjavik has dressed up as an old lady for that role in the game. But he was also the old lady in the original
Yes.
Danger Game from the 90s.
Yeah.
Before his mayor fame when he was just a comedian.
Yes. And now he's just a mayor.
Yeah, well.
I'd rather be a comedian. I think.
Can be both, right?
Yeah, you can be
Politicians
both.
are.
He's a funny mayor. He's a fun guy. He's a good guy. We do like him. All right, so that is some of the stuff you'll get. You also get there's like an EVE hardcover book. There's like an EVE soundtracky thing in there.
Of the symphony,
The symphony.
FanFest Symphony
Yes.
or whatever.
Are
that's
there
in
not
there,
also
yeah.
golden capsules?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you do get
That's
that.
the one I'm really looking for.
And don't you get in-game like tattoos or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, you get
Yes.
full sleeve tattoos
Yeah.
Yeah.
for pre-ordering.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever meet me, you'll get a kiss right on the cheek.
Oh, then you owe me one later.
That's always.
But you have to bring the box with you to
Yeah.
prove that you've actually bought it, and you're not just one of these people who come up to me asking me for kisses.
How about,
And
the,
the
how about the
more-
Amazon receipt on proof on my account?
Yes.
The more boxes, the more kisses.
The more boxes, the more kisses. Yes.
You can also just have the rifter.
You can also just have
yeah.
a rifter. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. With a USB transfer blinky.
And these are extra powerful rifters. Look how big this rifter is in
It's the
comparison to a Megatron.
I was thinking that. They're normally about at a way
This
smaller.
is a rifter. This rifter is probably like 50 times the size of a
I
normal
was going to say
rifter.
the Rifter would be about the size of the fin on the back of that Megatron,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it's, yeah.
This is badass.
Supersized roof.
Yes.
Really good. All right, I'm going to stop messing with the set now and put everything back in place. Wait, hold on. I just, there we go. All right. Wonderful. We do have this, and we're about 5 minutes out. It is the final, well, potentially final match. Hydra Reloaded versus Pandemic Legion. So, you know, we have the last two teams now, and one of these teams is inevitably going to win it unless something really awkward happens. And do we have any honorable mentions for other teams that could have probably gone all the way?
For me, it was CVA. They were
Yeah.
super, super fun to watch. They brought those all-Amar teams and then all Minmatar teams. You just couldn't really tell what CVA were bringing from one match to the next. And, you know, they were a team that historically in the tournament went out very early, but this year they were explosive and they dealt with a lot of good teams and they dealt with them well.
I have to say my favorite team of the tournament is Ministry of Inappropriate Footwork. They went so deep in the tournament as a complete unknown, and I actually found out a little bit something extra. One of their pilots in the tournament was playing on a laptop in the middle of nowhere in northern Wales in a campground using the 3G through his cell phone to connect and play in the Alliance tournament.
That
He was
is
sitting in
hardcore.
the grass and put his laptop and mouse on 2 picnic chairs so he could play in the Alliance
This is a
tournament.
true story.
What
My
a
goodness.
champion.
Exactly.
I think for me, since they haven't been mentioned, we have to mention Agony. They had a very good run for a team that has maybe never gotten this deep into the tournament before, has had some okay performances, but never really just gone all the way into it like this. And Agony really impressed. I think I underestimated them several times. They really impressed me in this tournament. So.
Yeah, I like at least the CVA one I was really happy about because they are in every single tournament. And they are. I think it is really nice to get some of these alliances that are focused on other things. Like they're essentially a role-playing
They're
alliance.
10 years old, aren't they?
They're 10.
Like they
they're
are
about
10. They're
years old.
so old and even. It's so super cool to see that.
And it's so nice to see them being good at more things than just being in the Alliance tournament, right? So it's awesome to see them. I think my pick was also Agony. Like watching Agony through this tournament was so impressive because they won off good setups. They flew well. If they continue this, they might be one of the top teams for the next tournament as well. One of them we have to watch. Agony were superb. It was so much fun.
I really can't thank enough CCP Veritas and CCP Fozzy for working together to make the practice environments that I think played a
Yes.
real
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
Yes.
in making all these teams that had shown up before and done okay, really encourage them to go the extra mile, practice as hard as they can.
Yes.
And man, has that practice really shown up and showed
Absolutely.
off all their piloting skills.
Absolutely.
It's been superb. All right, well, what about the flip side of the coin? What's the team that we've seen that looks like they're kind of slipping? I'll give you mine straight off the bat. I think Hun Reloaded look like they're kind of slipping a little bit.
To be fair, they dug themselves a very, very deep hole to climb out of at the very beginning.
True,
You know,
absolutely.
dropping down the losers bracket as early as they did, they had a long slog. That said, I do agree. They were not up to the same levels as we've seen in the past.
Yep.
For me, it's Virgin Collapse. They, for being defending champions, did not look like the team I expected to see. They dropped some matches I didn't expect them to, and the setups they fielded weren't particularly overwhelmingly, oh my goodness, amazing. So I think they could have showed up a little better.
For me, it was Darkside. Darkside is a really traditional team that can knock out tournament winners. They can just crush people. But this tournament really showcased their sort of schizophrenia in that they bring like really amazing setups or take someone else's setup that's really good. And then sometimes they just bring a setup that nobody really knows why they brought it, not really great. Just sort of like being like, hey, we're going to try this wacky thing, but you should be trying that wacky thing in practice, and when it loses to like everything, you should know probably shouldn't bring it.
I think for me it was no team. I think every team who came to the tournament this year really, really tried hard. They really did try hard. And, you know, what you're seeing year on year with the Alliance tournament are just the best teams getting better and better and better, knowing their mechanics inside out. And for a lot of younger teams or smaller teams who don't really have the money to spend on the Tanas and Adriestas, it's like, you know, there's only so much that we can field.
It's a tougher and tougher league.
And
But
I
they're
think
all trying really hard.
I think this tournament has caused a lot of people in these alliances to get behind the tournament more and more. Now that they see it's much easier to practice, now that they see how well their
Yes.
teams can do.
Yes.
For instance, I know Noli Secunda's team, who previously didn't have a tremendous amount of alliance support. Pro God Legend has promised me that he's going to be captaining the team next year, and he's their primary, like, large-scale fleet battle FC. So
All right.
these people are really stepping up, and alliances are really starting to back their teams more and more.
Awesome.
Yeah, one team that, for me, I'd like to honorable mention, if I can for a second, that really blew me away in terms of I underestimated them completely. I thought they were going to get completely just destroyed early on, was Obsidian Front. They won a couple matches I think they had no business winning, or at least I thought they had no business winning, and they came out there once with a setup that I thought was kind of a funny setup, but they very effectively destroyed the other team with. And then the next time they came out with a very, very effective, very well thought out, and very well executed setup. And I was really impressed with them as a team I had never heard of before. And so props to those guys, I think, for turning out and really good showing.
If I can mention another team that I think stepped it up, a team that, like we talk about Agony, that's been in every tournament, that just suddenly exploded and just looked fantastic, and in my opinion could have gone further than they did. I think CVA as well, but I think Road Capella as well. Like I think this is probably in terms of, I don't know in terms of results, because they've been in many tournaments. I don't remember how far they've gone, but in terms of how they played, I think they had a really strong showing this year.
Yeah, I think we surprised ourselves a little with how deep we got, or at least in terms of how many matches we had to get. I think by the end, they maybe were running out of setups and going, now what? So I think it's a lesson for Road Capella to take into next time that, you know what, we can go pretty deep and we need a lot of depth in our comps. So.
All right, guys, the match is ready. This is Pandemic Legion versus Hydra Reloaded. It is potentially the last match of the tournament, potentially my last match. And let's see here. If Hydra win this, they will take this series 3-0. If Pandemic Legion win this, they will be 1-2 and will need to win out the rest of the games. What's your predictions, Bach?
For me, I think Pandemic Legion's back is broken. I don't know that they're going to be able to come out and win another match. I'd like to see them do it. I'm not ready to go home yet, but I do think that they're not going to be able to take it. I think Hydra are going to be able to put this away now.
I think Pandemic Legion's back may be broken, but much like Batman in the third Batman movie, they're going to go back, rethink what they're doing, and come back better than stronger than ever and take back Gotham City.
Because I never get a prediction wrong, it's almost certainly going to be Hydra Reloaded.
Yeah, you know what? I think that PL looked a little bit injured that last match, and I think Hydra are cynical enough to take advantage of that and close this series out, but let's find out.